When you think of the Smurfs, you think of cute little blue bundles of good cheer skipping around Smurf Village with only the occasional visit from Gargamel to ruin their fun.
I must capture those Smurfs and put an end to all that happiness.
But did you know that there's some dark and sometimes even surprisingly twisted moments in their history? Let's take a look. Even I was shocked by some of this stuff. Did you know that in 2005, UNICEF made a pretty disturbing public service announcement in Belgium that featured the Smurfs? We start out in a typical happy-go-lucky Smurferific day with music and dancing and singing, and then, out of nowhere, bombs start falling from the sky. There are explosions everywhere, and Smurfs are getting blown this way and that, and actually dying. I mean, that's Smurfette. Finally, we're left with a Smurf baby screaming and crying. Then it cuts to a title card that reads, "Don't let war destroy the universe of children." I guess it was made to support a good cause, which was the rehabilitation of former child soldiers in Africa, but you had to do it with the Smurfs? Did you know that an episode of the Smurfs was actually one of the first on-screen depictions of zombies? Okay, not as literal as this, but the concept is definitely similar. The episode's called The Purple Smurfs, and it shows Lazy Smurf living up to his name and slowly chopping down some trees in the forest. He finds himself attacked by a purple fly.
Shoot 5 forward, stop!
And when he tries to chase it away with an axe, he gets bitten.
Ow!
He immediately feels strange, turns into an alarming shade of purple, and begins to shout,
Enough! 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 Enough!
Now, I don't speak Smurf, but he could be saying brains. He then proceeds to start biting his fellow Smurfs and turning them purple as well.
Enough! Enough!
Papa Smurf and the few survivors are forced to seek shelter in a house as they desperately try to find a cure.
Enough! 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 Enough!
They even try to capture a purple Smurf to do some testing, but he gets free and starts biting everyone, and the epidemic gets even worse.
Papa Smurf! Look! The purples are coming!
Ultimately, a fire breaks out in Papa Smurf's home. It heats up the cure and actually makes it effective, and the day is saved. But still, pretty gruesome for a Saturday morning Smurfs episode. And interestingly, the story was actually first animated in Belgium in 1961, which was 7 years before Night of the Living Dead, so this really is one of, if not the earliest, on-screen depictions of zombies. Do you know there's a classic Smurfs episode that some interpret as being a metaphorical warning about the dangers of STDs?
What is clean, you may ask? Does it mean to be free from dirt or impurities?
In the episode titled Smurf the Other Cheek, Hefty Smurf meets a suspicious old woman in the woods with a terrible red sore on her nose.
See this spot on the end of my nose?
Yeah?
It makes me unhappy.
Is there anything I can do to help?
She tricks Hefty into kicking her,
Kick me!
Go on, kick her. She's asking for it.
and the red sore suddenly transfers to him.
Now you can carry the spot.
Hefty then goes back to Smurf Village and convinces another Smurf to kick him in the butt.
You're my closest friend. Please kick me so I can get rid of this spot.
And this passes the sore on to them, and the cycle continues. Ultimately, Papa Smurf takes the reins,
Bend over, Hefty.
But Papa Smurf!
acquires the red sore himself, goes back into the woods, finds the older woman, they kiss, and the red dot disappears.
You feel better?
I feel great. I feel wonderful. I feel free.
For most kids, this probably went over their head, but looking back on it now, the source of this red sore was an old, devious woman in the woods. It definitely raises some question marks, not just about how they decided to treat a serious issue, but also who they decided to blame it on. I mean, it definitely feels like kind of misogynistic and sexist. And speaking of sexism, it seems that this kind of thinking actually goes all the way back to the Smurfs' beginnings. Some actually believe that Smurfs creator Peo may have been somewhat sexist himself, and if you look at his interpretation of Smurfette, there may actually be some truth to this.
What's that?
I mean, if you look at Smurfette's origin story, which Peo originally wrote for the comics, and then was adapted for the 80s cartoon, she actually started as Gargamel's evil creation that was intended to distract and create havoc amongst all of the male Smurfs.
Smurfette will be their downfall.
Who are you?
I'm a Smurf. Who are you?
I'm a Smurfette.
A Smurfette?
At first, Gargamel's scheme is going as planned until Papa Smurf turns her into a real Smurf, and she does turn into the Smurfette that we know,
Hello, boy.
but she is full of a lot of stereotypes. The blonde hair, the high heels.
Oh, I can't wait to wear my Smurfy new dress today.
But still, all of this is pretty innocent compared to this next example. Various sources allege that when NBC was in the process of adapting the comic into a cartoon, they spoke at length with Peo about his creations. Now, because Peo didn't speak any English and they didn't really speak any French, there was an interpreter involved in their conversations, and when Peo was asked to describe Smurfette as a character, allegedly this interpreter claims that what he said was, she seduces, she uses trickery rather than force to get results. She is incapable of telling a joke without blowing the punchline. She's a blabbermouth but only makes superficial comments, and she's constantly creating enormous problems for the Smurfs but always manages to blame it on someone else. Fortunately, if this is true, the executives went in a very different direction. I mean, how could they not? But again, if this is true, I mean, it's a pretty shocking and offensive way for him to imagine really the only female character he created for the Smurfs, which is a whole other issue. Even though there were a few other female characters, including Sassette, who actually didn't show up until season 5, for the most part, Smurfette really was the only girl on the show. In fact, writer Katha Pollitt coined the term the Smurfette Principle in 1991 in the New York Times, which essentially is a term used to describe stories involving groups of all men with just one token female in the group. And the story is generally male-dominated, and the woman is often portrayed with stereotypes. Sadly, this is a pretty narrow-minded and lazy narrative tradition that still is carried on today.